Hi everybody, I'm here with Jordan Wylie, extreme adventurer who is currently attempting to paddle around Great Britain. Now Jordan, there's been a huge influx of paddlers on the water due to lockdown, due to the weather, and a lot of people out there who may not realise what they're doing. Stand-up paddling, don't get us wrong, is an amazing sport. You are doing something completely different, and as someone who's, with respect, fairly new to paddleboarding, you've got this whole safety thing hopefully locked down, haven't you? What measures have you taken to make sure that you are absolutely safe as you possibly can be on the ocean? Because it's something very new to you, isn't it? And especially being on the ocean. So what have you done to ensure your safety?
No, absolutely. I'm the first to admit that I'm very new to paddleboarding. I've only been doing it, sort of 4 or 5 months, and only really seriously in the last few weeks on a sort of extensive basis. And like with any of my adventures, safety is always the number one priority. And the fact that, in my role as the National Ambassador for Army Cadets, it's very important that I'm pushing out the right messages. It's about responsible paddling, it's about respecting the water, and also knowing your limits and limitations and things. So safety is a priority. So first and foremost, everything starts with a risk assessment. Everything we do is constantly risk assessed, whether it's the tide, whether it's the wind, whether it's the kit I'm using, whether it's the board, the paddle itself. Everything starts with a risk assessment. Before we started this expedition, I spent a lot of time with Water Skills Academy, WSA, who are incredible, and I can't thank them enough. They're our training sponsor. John Cavell and Ben, they've been great because they're on the phone every day as well, making sure that I'm continuing to manage those risks. So a huge thanks to them. But in terms of kit and equipment as well, I'm not just out there, as I see often, with my board shorts and not much else, and that's something that I constantly remind people of, regardless of experience. Nobody's bigger than nature. The sea is a very hostile place, and it's very unforgiving as well. It takes no prisoners. But in terms of the kit that I'm carrying when I'm out there, first and foremost, I've always got a leash. I have a waist belt as well with a quick release on it in case I need to break away. I'm carrying a VHF radio communication, so I can communicate with ports, with ships, with other marine traffic in the area. I can do a mayday call if I need to and call in a rescue with search and rescue services. I've got 3 different types of tracking devices on me, which is quite extensive. First and foremost for safety. Secondly, because we're attempting an official record, of course, which is quite far down the order, if we're honest, in terms of safety is the priority. Also, so my team on land can track me and see where I am. So if I'm coming up to maybe a cliff line or a headlands, they know that I might need to come out early, or I might need to stop, do a risk assessment. The conditions are changing all the time. Of course, I've got my personal flotation device on, kindly sponsored by NRS. Get another plug there. Lots of plugs coming out here.
You've got to do it.
You got to. I'm wearing the right clothing as well, thanks to Pro Limit. But I carry a flare in my support bag as well, so I've got an emergency flare. In the worst case scenario, hopefully the only time I use it is to celebrate at the end. And
let's hope so.
But I've got a mobile phone on me as well. Of course, I'm using Paddle Logger. I'm also using an Iridium tracker, which is satellite based. So lots of different control measures in place. I also, because we haven't got a support boat, it's changed my approach to safety in terms of now I'm a lot more hugging the coastline, so to speak. Whereas before we could cheat across bays and coves and big estuaries. Now I'm, for safety reasons, I hug the coastline.
Yeah.
And constantly getting a weather report from Captain Alex on every 6 hours, who is monitoring me 24/7, because the wind changes, the tide changes, and the conditions change. You go round a small cove or a headland, and all of a sudden you're dealing with a different environment. So safety is absolutely our number one priority at all times, and it's important that is the message that we keep spreading. The RNLI as well do an incredible job, and it's important to mention them because I've met lots of different stations along the coastline, and they've been so supportive. And I think one of the reasons why they have been supportive is because we're showing our respect. We call ahead, we inform them, we email them, not just the RNLI but the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency, the lifeguards out there, marine traffic when we cross for example, shipping lanes. I communicate with port controls,
Yeah.
with big vessels via VHF, and tell them if they want me to wait, I wait. I be patient, and it's all about safety, and I can't stress that enough. As much as records and things and speed are important, life is a lot more important than those sort of things.
Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant. So that's given you a massive insight as to what Jordan has to prepare every day. So it takes you probably from when you get to your launch spot to when you get on the water, probably takes you a good hour with,
Easily,
you've got James here filming as well, so you need to get shots, because that's really important in our big social media world. People want to know what you're doing, so it takes you probably about an hour to get on the water, doesn't it? And conditions have not been so far that favourable, and you're on a beautiful hardboard, and that in itself has had its challenges, but you sound like you're taking every precaution. A couple of things you didn't mention, which I'm sure you've got, are hydration and fuel.
Absolutely.
On board, so that you can keep hydrated. It's been beautiful weather, if a bit windy, but what are you taking to sort of food and drink wise?
Yeah, it's a great point, and so I'm very fortunate to work with a company called Combat Fuel, who are providing me with protein for recovery and also dextrin for while I'm out there. I take lots of water on board. I've got plenty of water, and one of the great things about being on the coastline is you can stop and replen when I need to. Also, skin protection as well, really important. We're working with a partner called Life Jacket, who, again, skin cancer is a big issue, sunburn is a big issue, so making sure that I'm fully protected from the big yellow fellow in the sky, so to speak, is really important. But food as well, again, lots of snacks, lots of protein, lots of nuts and fruit and things like that.
Yeah, because while you're out on the ocean, even if you are pretty close, you don't want to suddenly have a lack in energy and use the term in cycling, they bonk and they just don't know which way is up. You don't need that situation on the water, do you? So you've got to keep yourself hydrated and your salt levels up.
Absolutely, yeah. Lots of electrolytes and things like that. And we're not short of fish and chip shops, as I've realised, on the British coast.
Awesome.
We're rating fish and chip shops as we move down the coast. We've had a lot of chippies. I'll be honest, it's not the best diet for a paddler. But when you're tired, and when you're fatigued, anything will do when you get off that water, especially when you're in very remote places. But it's an incredible adventure, and I'm enjoying every minute of it. But safety is got to be the priority always.
Yeah. You're literally learning on the paddle, aren't you, here? Because it's not your chosen sport, but you are up for a challenge, and this is a massive challenge. So everybody, just follow Jordan on social media on the Great British Paddle. You can track him live, so you know exactly where he is. So if you want to bob down to the coast and find him and give him a thumbs up, or what was it, egg and bacon sandwich the other day that someone gave you? So
that was morale of the highest order.
So follow Jordan. He's an exceptional extreme athlete, but very humble. We're getting to know him really well, which is lovely. So thanks for your support, Jordan, and thanks for
thank you
today.
so much.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.